Okay, Bryan. سلام سلام سلام، بازم خوش اومدین. امیدوارم این بار اوکی باشه. Brian, sorry it got
That
disconnected. I
that's all
think
right.
it's from my side. Uh, Hopefully it will be okay this time. I didn't. If you want to
Okay.
start again. Question.
So just it's important that we separate chemistry, romantic chemistry, sexual chemistry from compatibility. This is where a lot of couples get really confused. They think because I have chemistry with somebody, that means we must be compatible. And that is usually often not the case. So you can feel chemistry with someone in a minute, just boom, you walk into a room, there's a man or a woman there, and you're thinking, whoa, I can feel electricity, attraction. That does not mean that would be a good relationship to be a part of. That takes a lot of time to figure out. Are we really compatible? Do we want the same things in life? Do we value relationship the same way? Are we both interested in growing together? Again, those questions take a lot longer than just chemistry to work out. And even then, I tell couples when I'm working with couples, Tina, I will often tell them, expect it to take 10 years before you're really good at being with each other. 10 years before you're really good at being with each other. You can have great chemistry in an evening.
A minute, yeah.
In a minute, but to really be good at relationship with someone, that takes years. So, should you just because you have chemistry with someone does not mean you should leave your relationship for them. No way. I mean, maybe, but that's a different question.
Mm, 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 mm. That was, I think, really important to acknowledge. Okay, so let's see if we have more. Anyone wants to ask anything from Bryan before we let him go for tonight? Let's see. هر کسی سوال بپرسه، من براش ترجمه میتونم بکنم. I just said that in Farsi as well. Let's see if we get any questions. I'm not getting any comments from my side. I don't know if
Well, I'm seeing.
no one's asking.
Let's see. If your feet, okay, here you go. I'm seeing some questions over here. Vangelica asked if your feedback is making your partner actually be less open towards their feelings. Am I doing it wrong? Yeah, that's a great question. So here's the important thing to know. You are not responsible for how your partner behaves, acts, thinks. You're not responsible for the choices your partner makes. They're an adult. They're responsible for their own experience. You can learn to give feedback really well, but if they're not willing to learn how to do that dance with you, then you can do it perfectly and it's not going to make any difference. They're still going to they may stay in their wounding, their fear, their resistance. There's nothing you can do about that if your partner themselves doesn't want to figure out how to do things differently. So the first step is, so Vangelica, your question, am I doing it wrong? Number one, I don't use the word right and wrong. It's not about wrong. The question is, are you doing it skillfully? Are you doing it in a way that is connecting versus disconnecting? That's a much more helpful question, right? It's not about doing it wrong. Are you doing it skillfully? And I don't know the answer to that, but that's my question. Are you doing it skillfully, which means being honest about what's happening? See, what a lot of women will do, and men do this too, we think we're talking about our feelings, but we're actually just talking about our conclusion, our stories. Well, I feel like you're an asshole, well, I feel like you don't love me. That's not feedback. Those are sort of forms of criticism. It's basically, you don't love me. Well, what do you know? I'm sure your partner loves you the best that they can. But if you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling good in the relationship, well, that's a different conversation. I'm not feeling heard. Notice, I'm not feeling heard. A lot of times your partner may hear, you don't think I'm listening to you, right? That's what oh, you think I'm not listening to you, but I'm listening to you. That's often the objection. I hear you. Okay, so you can acknowledge, again, this is a dance. And this is relationships are messy. That's why working with someone to get help, a therapist, a coach, like, it can be so helpful, because if they're taking your feedback as criticism, then two things are happening. One, maybe you really still are criticizing them. You're just doing it in a really sneaky way. And you don't know the difference between feelings, what you're really feeling, and what your conclusions are, your stories that you're pointing at them. That's one thing. And the other is, they may be so afraid. They may be in so much fear that they can't hear you, no matter how skillfully you put it. They may be so afraid of any feedback, it could be shame that arises for them. It could be all that they can't hear you no matter how you put it. Right? So again, Vangelica, with your question, I don't know exactly what's happening for you, but is that helpful?
I think you touched on very important stuff. I can't see any of the questions. I don't know why the comments are not appearing on this side, but if you can see them, you can read them out.
Yeah,
Right.
I am seeing them. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of questions here. That's funny. You're not seeing them at all.
No, they're not appearing on this side.
Yeah, so Vangelica, she's saying, based on my description, I think I'm doing the skillful way. I hear immediately that he won't open up to me anymore after I give him my feedback on how his actions made me feel. Yeah. So give him feedback on that. Okay, if you close down, if you're going to close down and not open up, I want you to know that's going to hurt also. This isn't going to help me feel any better. Keep giving the feedback. It's really, notice that the thing about feedback is it's important that you honor your partner's right to do whatever they think is best for themselves. If for some reason him shutting down, he's only doing that as a defense. He's feeling threatened. It's not that you're threatening him, but your feelings are a threat to him, because his feelings are a threat to him. Again, what we talked about in the first hour, Tina, you and I, when most men disconnected from our own feelings, how are we going to be able to be with your feelings? So it's so important. It can be really helpful that when you're giving feedback, that you acknowledge, this may be difficult for us. It's like, I know this may be hard for you. I know my feelings may scare you. You can offer reassuring words to say, you're not doing anything wrong. I love you. I care about you. I want us to do well. I acknowledge all the things you are doing. One of the things that men often, we don't get acknowledged enough for what we are doing for the relationship.
Mm.
And when we don't feel acknowledged enough, it can be even harder for us to be with their feedback. So Vangelica, it could be helpful, lead more with what you do appreciate about what he's doing. Start with your appreciation for I appreciate that you go to work every day. I appreciate that you come home to me every day. I appreciate that you show up for our kids, that you're a good man. Lead with that, and then try offering feedback about what's hurting, if maybe that might be helpful. You see, when you're doing relationship well, I tell couples this all the time. When you're doing relationship well, you are managing your partner's nervous system. You're using language, you're saying things, you're using maybe touch, your body language, you're doing things that signal to your partner, hey, you're safe with me. You're safe with me. Because when your partner feels safe, they feel appreciated, they feel loved, they feel valued, they feel, when we feel safe, then we're going to be more available for vulnerability. Is that helpful?
That was helpful for me listening to it.
Great.
So 2 more questions. I don't want to hold you for too long. I know you're busy with your stuff.
Thank you.
2 more questions and we'll let you go for tonight.
Thank you. Let's see. Let's look through. Gosh, there's lots of great questions. Vangelica says, thank you so much, Bryan. It was heartwarming and assuring to know that I'm on the right path. Yeah, great. Great. Let's see. What if they are not afraid of feeling and just don't want to do the work? That's a question, Parsa. What if they are not afraid of any feeling and just don't want to do the work? You can't make your partner do what they don't want to do. And you shouldn't, it's no use trying to force someone to do what they don't want to do. Again, I come back to the question Tina and I talked about in the first live is, what's the purpose of your relationship? Why are you together? If you want to grow, if growing is a value of yours, then, and you're with a partner who doesn't want to grow, it's probably not a relationship that's going to work in the long term. I've had that experience. I didn't know that that's what was happening. I've always been very growth oriented. And I was with a woman for 5 years. Wonderful person. She wasn't growth oriented. She wanted to just have babies, have her home and a comfortable life. And I want that too, but I want to grow. And the fact that she didn't really want to grow in that way, and I did, that caused us so much conflict. So, now my partner and I, we are both growth oriented. We still have challenges. Every couple has challenges. We have challenges, but because we're both growth oriented, both willing to do the work, we thrive. We hit something that's difficult, but we're willing to do the work. And so we keep growing and deepening with each other. And it's beautiful. It ain't always easy, but so that's the question that's how I would like to answer that. Mr. Witt, do you hear it, Tina?
It could be very painful and I can hear you okay. What I said was
Okay.
that I think accepting that loss could be very painful and it takes a lot of courage.
It does.
Accepting
it
that
absolutely
my partner
does.
doesn't want to be, because we sometimes we just stay there and we keep pushing for something that's never going to happen, and it could be really hurtful. But because we don't want to accept that loss, we keep trying, and we get hopeless, we get depressed. I think that acceptance is also very important.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, a couple people are asking, what do I mean by growth oriented, grow it? And I want to bring it back to, especially for men, if as a woman, you want to feel emotionally connected to your partner, if that's important to you, then you need to be with a man who is willing to grow emotionally. So for me, growth oriented means, you know, I want to learn to do the things that a man should do. I want to learn how to continue to grow in my business, to grow and, you know, building my castle. I want to build a great castle. But for me, it's growth oriented also means growing in the direction of the heart. You know, growing connected in my connection to my heart, growing in connection to my own emotions. I want to feel alive. I want to feel my life. I want to feel my partner's heart. And when we make love, I want to feel the union between us. I don't want sex to just be, you know, masturbation. I want sex to be a really beautiful, heart connected, transcendent experience that both of us feel really alive in. The only way to do that is to grow in my own capacity to feel my body, to feel my own emotions, to feel my own sadness and, you know, everything that I feel. And so when I say growth oriented, for me, what I mean is, you know, I want to learn to open my mind to see more perspective, to learn in my mind, to learn how to live life better, to do things different. But I also mean grow in my ability to feel, to care, to love, to connect. You know, and as if you're hearing this and that sounds exciting to you, then you need a partner who likewise wants to grow. If you're hearing me and you're saying, that sounds like bullshit. I just want to make my money. I just want to have a nice house. Okay, then you don't need a partner who really wants to grow. Is that helpful?
Definitely, definitely. I get really excited. I just wish more men could listen to you. The live is, even the people that are present here are mostly women. I just wish more men would watch this later on, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. And let's, Tina, I'm happy to come back on again, you know, in the near future. I think these are such
We'd,
important
we'd,
questions.
we'd love to have you back. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah,
It was a pleasure for me to have you here, and I'm getting a lot of very positive feedback in the direct messages and the comments. So
great.
thank you, Bryan. We don't want to hold you up for too long, but I'm definitely very keen to speak with you again very soon.
Yeah, I'd like that. And I know people are asking questions about, there's so many great questions that are still coming. And a lot of these things I've written about either on my Instagram page or on my website, you know, which is just my name, bryanreeves.com, like jealousy. I have videos about how to overcome jealousy, what to do with jealousy. I mean, you know, teaching couples how to connect and men to connect with their bodies and emotions. I mean, if you like to read or watch videos, you know, just go through my Instagram page, go to my website, bryanreeves.com. Tina, I would love to come back and do this with you again. You have an amazing audience. And again, I love to just, you know, bridging my world and yours and, you know, America and Iran. I think that's such a beautiful thing for us to do. And so, you know, I'm really grateful for the honor to have this conversation with you, and I would love to do it again.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. So we have that promise to speak with you soon. So everyone here, you've got all these questions. We'll have Bryan back soon to answer your questions. Thank you so much for tonight, and
Absolutely.
we'll keep in touch.
Thank you, Tina. Be well. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye.